Shalom and welcome everyone to this week's ICEJ webinar. We took a break over the Feast of Tabernacles, and of course this war that Israel has been forced in, now surrounding us on so many sides. We're going to bring our first report on this through our weekly webinar, and we have a special guest today. Yigal Carmon. I've known him for over 30 years. He's one of Israel's best experts on Arab affairs, and he was a former Arab affairs advisor to Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir and Yitzhak Rabin back in the late 80s, early 90s. He was with Israeli military intelligence before that, and since leaving that advisory role, he founded and has been president of MEMRI, MEMRI.org, MEMRI, which I think is the leading public source of what is being said by officials and media here in the region, the Arab media. They even do Iranian Farsi language. They cover Afghanistan, Pakistan, Turkey, so many areas. And he has excellent credentials. He's a little, Yigal is a little old school in that he believes what the Arabs say, and especially Hamas, which has started this war. And we were just fortunate that he could join us for about 15-20 minutes today. We want to go ahead and show, we pre-recorded an interview with him. We'll come back afterwards to talk a little more. And it's quite interesting what he says in our interview with him just about an hour ago, that, you're expecting a lot of outrage like other Israelis against Iran, but he fingers someone else as really helping Hamas carry out these atrocities and launch this war. And the thing about him, our theme today, the Israeli expert who accurately predicted the war that we're in now just over a month ago, late August. He wrote about it. We'll talk a little bit about that and cover some later, but let's run this interview with Yigal Carmon of MEMRI. Yigal, thanks for joining us amidst all the hectic work that you're doing, helping advise the government and others about what's happening and warning. But you actually were correct in your warning and prediction that a war would break out with Hamas in September, October. Where are we right now? We'll show some of the people what happened before, but where are we right now?
Thank you, David, so much. And indeed, we published an early warning. I published an early warning on MEMRI on August 31st, a month and something ago, and no one heeded to it. In May 28, 2018, we published a description by the Hamas people of everything that they are going to do. It is one by one a picture of what they did. They said, we will breach the fence, we're going to drive to they call them settlements, it's Israel, they call it settlements, and we will kill them. Everything spelled out. No one looked at it. Now, no one heeded. Your question would be, how could that happen? And I have at least one answer that is really painful, extremely painful. For 10 years, the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, allowed Qatar, the Emirate of Evil, to push $1.5 billion to Gaza. With this money, they built their military power, a whole under Gaza city with command post, battle post, tunnels, a huge arsenal of weapons of missiles, 30,000 strong force of fighters, of course, murderers, but we call them technically fighters, and equipment of all kinds, and of course, a propaganda and recruitment machine that recruited the whole world to their plans. And in that sense, the government of Israel shares the responsibility with Qatar for what happened. We are facing now a regional war. It's coming. This is my early warning of today. Within a month or less, it's coming. Tomorrow, just tomorrow, Friday, the Hamas terrorists are planning a day of, whatever you call it, day of murder. They call it in a different way. All over the world, both here and all over the world. They may attack Israeli embassies, consulates. David, they may attack pro-Israel organizations like your blessed organization. I ask you to connect to the police and have special security.
We
So
have
that
a
no one,
location right across the street from our headquarters. Thank you, Yoel.
so that no one gets the chance to harm you. You are known to be pro-Israel. All this is going to develop into a regional war. And from a regional war, God knows where it leads.
Yeah, Fatah has you on memory, your organization's public website. You translated that Fatah, it has also called the Palestinians to join in this. They usually call it a day of rage, but after seeing the scenes down along the Gaza border, they really have this bloodthirst too. They want to see Jewish blood flowing. So you think this will spread to the West Bank tomorrow?
Of course, and they want to take hostages. They want to help Hamas in Gaza by taking hostages to create a situation where Israel will be forced by the world to stop the bombings, because the world countries will say, what is it our fault? Please stop, because it's our citizens held captive.
Hmm.
This is a trick. This is a tactic to stop Israel at any cost.
How strong is Hamas in the West Bank and even Fatah? Will there be a lot of not just these lion den little individual cells, but will Fatah join?
It's tough to say, but certainly out of the over 2 million that are there, to be really with the lowest estimation, there will be hundreds of thousands.
Oh my. And Israeli Arabs, we saw this in May of 21.
Well, on that side, I must say, I'm not sure.
Yes.
Israeli Arabs have gone with us. They are very bitter about many things, but they know Israel. They know the Jews they grew up with. The majority of them want to live with the Jews, to have more rights, to have more, which we all basically support. And we don't need to enter into this. They are equal citizens in Israel. And me personally, I am wholly for the development of relationship to the utmost. I am not sure that they will join. We have a lot of criminality among Arabs in Israel. They killed their mothers, their sisters, there are criminal groups, there are many things that are quite horrific. But basically, their attitude towards the state of Israel is the state that gave them everything. They know it. You know, let me tell you, when they come from tours or what, buses that were in Jordan or I don't know where, they come to Israel happy. They know what is an Arab dictatorship. They know what they have in Israel, with all the things that they feel they are not getting what they want, but they know what they do have.
Yeah, all these gang killings in the Arab sector, it's shown there's a lot of guns in that sector. It is a concern. Iran is saying they were not behind this attack, but they certainly funded, and they're kissing the hand, they say, of those who perpetrated it. How much is Iran responsible?
Today we are publishing a report that explains in their words that this is it's the Soleimani operation. One day before he died, before he was killed, he gathered all the commanders of the IRGC. He detailed to them what is going to happen. And even Khamenei said great things are coming. And there are all the details there. The fact that the State Department says that there are no proofs, there are all the proofs there without secret intelligence. All the proof there in writing. We publish so much about it. I hope that the United States doesn't ignore the open sources like my own government, misguided government, ignored them.
And what about Hezbollah in Lebanon? I mean, they've held out. They haven't really got involved since 2006. Is it because they just got such a bloody nose then, or have the Iranians been saving them for a particular moment like now?
Well, number one, they know from 2006 that Israel, that Iran would sacrifice them, would sacrifice the Palestinian, everybody for their own wishes. Secondly, they know the following, because they were warned by several ministers of defense and by chiefs of staff. Israel does not have any defensive protection from the 140,000 missiles that they have. We don't have protection. What we have is a power of deterrence. That's what we warn them. We will bring you back to the Stone Age if you intervene. Now, how do you bring them to the Stone Age? By the following. I am explaining it to many media, the details of it. How do you do that? We will target 3 targets: the sewage system, the electricity system, and the all basic systems of life of a state. Now, David, imagine a city like Beirut with 2 million people without sewage. This is going back to the Stone Age. This is the Stone Age. They will run to all, they will scatter to the whole world. No one will be able to live there. The maladies, the sicknesses, a human catastrophe. But what can we do? We have no protection from 140,000 missiles.
There's not enough Iron Dome interceptors or David Sling and
No. The only power is deterrence. And Nasrallah knows that very well.
Yeah.
And contrary to what we perceive of him, that he's a suicider, maybe Khamenei wants him to suicide, to commit suicide, but he doesn't want. He wants to take over all of Lebanon. He wants to have the gas. I am not dismissing the possibility. Let me put it straightforward. I am not dismissing the possibility that he will join, because he's under the impact of the old criminal in Tehran. But if he does that, Lebanon will be back to the Stone Age.
Yeah.
For now, the deterrence is working. There are skirmishes on the border. There are clashes on the border level. They did not send the 140,000 missiles. I think they will not, but I'm not sure of it.
Yeah.
I want to say I am not sure of it. And they might, despite the deterrence,
Yeah, what's happening up there is probably some Hamas or Islamic Jihad elements trying to ignite it. Do you think that the real answer to this is that you have to threaten Iran directly to get them to start backing off from this whole strategy of encircling Israel, taking over the Middle East? I think there's even an effort in the south through Yemen to take over Mecca and Medina.
Well, I'm not for that, David. No, I'm not for threatening. I'm not for deterrence. For the defense of Israel is one thing. Fighting with Iran, initiate a fight with Iran is big on us. If they do something beyond the war that they initiated through Hamas, with the recklessness of the Israeli government, I wouldn't go anywhere to threaten them. This is for the world, because Iran is an enemy of the Western world, after all.
Yeah.
But
And
I'm not for threatening them and going to, no.
Okay, and the U.S. has moved aircraft carrier fleet closer to the coast, and there's a lot of these Islamist elements saying, the U.S. says it's for deterrence to try and keep Hezbollah out of this fight. Do you think that's going to help add to the deterrence? Is it going to be effective?
In a way, it is very helpful. I must say that we were all surprised positively, and in fact, me personally, admiring the stand of President Biden. We never expected that. It was phenomenal. Standing for Israel for President Biden is admirable. And at the same time, there is an element of cluelessness, misguidedness. They consider Qatar as an ally. Qatar is the source of all evil. Qatar is responsible for 9/11. They were hiding the mastermind of 9/11 in Doha, in the municipality and the water department. They were the ones that supported the Taliban for many years. Also in the last year, helping them take over Kabul with blood of Americans. And then the administration calls them an ally. It's beyond my understanding. They are helping, they helped the Islamic State. They helped Jabhat al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda. They helped Hamas. They helped every single Islamist organization. They take the Muslims of the world, in the region and in the world, and who are in a process of development, in a process of adopting a religious progressive approach, and turn them into the Islamist 7th century Islam. Qatar is, I would say this, we have realized they declared war on us. By supporting Hamas, they have declared war on Israel, and they will pay the price.
Yeah, they were going in supposedly to rebuild Gaza, but it was to rebuild Hamas military.
They will not be allowed to give a penny. No, I'm talking about something else. They will pay the price for the war, for declaring war on Israel.
Yes.
I'm not talking about Gaza.
Yeah, and there's U.S. Troops or naval forces based in Qatar, but it's also the home of Al Jazeera, which is their propaganda wing, their Goebbels wing.
Well, the United States is doing a favor to Qatar to have the Al Udeid base of CENTCOM there, because the UAE and Saudi Arabia begged them to move to them on their own account, not on America's account. They did not move. I can not understand this. Qatar is doing Navy drills with the IRGC. How can they be regarded as an ally? CENTCOM can occupy Qatar in half an hour, give them all the American passports and finish with this evil entity of the family of Al Thani.
Yes. All right, that's very interesting insights. You also recently released a video at MEMRI. It's MEMRI.org for people to go look, but it's about Mahmoud al-Zahar, one of the senior Hamas leaders, in which he said, can you tell us, share us for those?
Well, look, not only Mahmoud al-Zahar, we publish all their videos in abundance. I wish people, so I hope your viewers will go to the site and see. They will not believe their eyes. They talk about Islamic eradication of Israel, but their battle clearly put out is with the West, is with everybody, is with the Christians. We have something new that we are publishing soon, where they explain that their battle is with the non-Muslims.
It's they call us the treacherous Christianity and Christian traitors, and that this is a war on the Zionist Crusader alliance. Most of the Christian West is post-Christian. They moved off from Christianity. Even us Christians, we sort of don't think much about the Crusades anymore, but the memories are deep here of those wars of the Crusaders against Islam.
By the way, David, to go back to Qatar, when I say they will pay the price, I mean in international courts. I mean in a legal way. I mean, I'm not for taking the law into our hands. I am for a legal approach, like with the Nazis after World War II in Nuremberg. This whole operation of Hamas, I published an article saying this is the Hamas Einsatzgruppen attack. They are not ISIS. They are not animals, as our minister said. I tell you why, because I don't know any animal that kills out of sheer cruelty. Animals are much better than that. It is a Einsatzgruppen operation. Who were the Einsatzgruppen? They were the forces that were attached to the 4 armies that moved west in World War II with the German army. And their goal, their mission was to hunt for Jews on the way and to exterminate them. Yeah, this is what happened yesterday, a Nazi operation.
The Nazi roving death squads that
Right.
came. You know, there's the son of the Nazi officer who developed one bullet in the back of the head to save bullets in those roving death squads, the Einsatzgruppen. His son is a Christian minister in the UK today. He was from Austria, from the same town where Hitler was born, and he just flew into Israel to see what he can do to help Israel defend itself. So Christians have changed. There's a lot of Muslims out there who have a choice right now, a lot of Arabs and Muslims. What are they going to side with?
Your Christians are doing that, not all Christians. But since you mentioned Germany, let me say, the Chancellor, Olaf Scholz, met today the head of the crime entity of Qatar. And guess what? Major papers in Germany, God bless them, they will remember it for years to come, said it. They criticized him. They said he is meeting with the terrorist state, Qatar. Right. All the honor and respect to this paper, the Bild and the
Spiegel?
No, not the Spiegel.
Die Welt.
The Bild and
the Die Welt, probably.
Yeah, the Welt, yeah, and the Bild. Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, anything else that you want to add right now? I know you're really working with others to try and get the message out.
I have so much to add, but I will add one thing. This criminal entity of Qatar has a mechanism of propaganda. like Goebbels. It's called Al Jazeera. Al Jazeera is not a news channel. It is a Goebbels type operation of propaganda. And they are broadcasting freely. David, even in Israel, the clueless government of Israel, even after the 4 days to the war, they allowed them to spy around all over the country, broadcast as if they are reporters. All their broadcasts go about the military, go to Hamas, and they are around. My only comparison is imagine that in World War II, Goebbels' radio would broadcast from London.
Yes.
Our prime minister sometimes pretends to be Churchill. Do you think that Churchill would allow a Goebbels radio to broadcast from the heart of London in World War II?
Yeah. Well, we hope people will listen this time. You're not one to say, I told you so, I told you so. But your warning, I wish it had been heeded, and your warnings now, we have to brace for something tomorrow. And then in the weeks to come, how far this spreads, whether it's Iraq, Syria, Yemen also get involved, the Islamist militias there.
A regional war. And again, David, while my heart is full of admiration, respect, and love to you and to your organization and all the Christians involved, I want to warn again that they say the Crusader Zionist, please make sure that you are protected for tomorrow.
Yeah, we were named years ago in a Hamas statement, the Christian Embassy.
Well, there you go.
We did have someone casing our Jerusalem march at Sukkot around 15, 20 years ago. We went ahead with the march and they caught the bomber early that morning. But we're going to be brave. We're going to have some good sense. We have a police station across the street that they really protected us during Sukkot from even some Jewish extremists, but that seems so minor right now compared to the threats that are hanging over Israel. And we want to do what we can to stand with it. Thank you for your kind words.
That was an interview with Yigal Carmon. He is the founder and president of MEMRI, MEMRI.org. It's the Middle East Media Reporting Institute. They research and analyze all the Arabic media, all the things that government leaders, military leaders are saying, not only Arab leaders, but in Turkey and Iran, the Farsi, Turkish language, Afghanistan. You go to their website and MEMRI.org, and really it can get a little daunting and depressing to spend too much time in there. But Yigal Carmon spent many years in Israel's military intelligence. He's an Arab affairs expert, was an Arab affairs advisor to two prime ministers, Yitzhak Shamir and Yitzhak Rabin, in the late 80s and early 90s. And over the last almost 30 years, 25 years or so, he has headed up MEMRI, which is really a source. It's an open public source of the sort of material that our intelligence agencies should be looking at. And as I said, he's an old school guy in that he believes what these Arab leaders and others are saying. And he's also a straight shooter when in trying to say, well, this was wrong, this was a blunder and such. I've known him a long time when he used to come to Washington when I was working, lobbying for Israel in Congress then. I've always respected him. And he accurately warned in late August that there would be a major war launched by Hamas in September or October, and even says he warned he gave the whole scenario for it back in May of 2018. We'll have to go back and look at that. We also have from him a clip that they've translated from Mahmoud al-Zahar, who is a senior Hamas leader. I believe he's outside of Gaza, so he's free to speak in Lebanon, and some of them are in Qatar. Some of the Hamas leadership is based there. He warns this is a war. Not only it starts with the Jews, but it also includes Christians, even though we as Christians, the West is sort of post-Christianity. They've left Christianity behind. Those of us who are Christians, we don't think much about the Crusades, but the memories here in the Middle East of that period is long, and they consider us part of the target, the West in general. They call us the Crusader West or whatever. And here's a clip from the memory website from Mahmoud al-Zahar of Hamas, if we can play that, Harry.
اليوم أنت تستطيع أن تقول أننا وصلنا إلى حالة الردع والدفاع عن الأرض المحتلة. لما نتكلم أن احنا جيش القدس ونتكلم عن معركة الوعد الآخرة، لا نتكلم فيها لأننا سنحرر أرضنا فقط، ولكن لأننا نؤمن بأن ما قاله نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم عندما قال زوى الله تعالى لي الدنيا وفي لفظ آخر الأرض فرأيت مشارقها ومغاربها وأن ملك أمتي سيبلغ ما زوي لي منها. إنه 510 مليون كيلومتر مربع وهي مساحة الكل أرضية سوف تعيش حالة لا ظلم فيها ولا قهر فيها ولا خيانة ولا صلة ولا مسيحية غادرة ولا قتل بهذه الحجم، هذه الجرائم التي ترتكب بحق الشعب الفلسطيني والشعب العربي في كل الدول العربية، سواء كانت في لبنان وسوريا وفي العراق وفي غيرها.
Okay, I hope people are waking up to this reality. A couple takeaways from this interview. There were indications, signs. There will be plenty of time to sort out exactly who blundered and who was asleep. There were a lot of factors. Both the left and right here in Israel share the blame. But we'll sort that out later. But we're in a very serious war, and rather than really pointing the finger at Iran, which the world wants to do, and rightly so, they're very much involved in this. But Yigal Carmon, this Arab affairs expert, he points the finger at Qatar, one of the small emirates in the Persian Gulf, the Arab Gulf, which the Al Thani, the royal family that rules that country, they're Sunni Arabs, not Shiites, but they're even though they have U.S. troops there at the request of Saudi Arabia and the Emirates, they're no friend of the West. They're no friend of the U.S. or Israel or anyone. They are aligned with Iran. But they're Sunni Arab, and they promote Wahhabism, which the Saudis even stopped and cut a lot of the funding to the radical Wahhabist brand of Islam that wants to take us back to the 7th century. And even here in Israel, all the mosques around the country, even within Israel and East Jerusalem and everywhere, you see green fluorescent lights on the tops of the minarets in these mosques. Well, that means that they got funding from, it's like a billboard, a sign. They got funding from the Wahhabist movement, which the #1 funder of it is Qatar, and they are promoting a jihad against not only Israel, but the Christian West. And we need to be aware of that. I think the second big takeaway is that tomorrow, Friday, Hamas has called for the West Bank and East Jerusalem to rise up and join the fight. And we'll see what transpires tomorrow. I think Israel is bracing for whatever may come. They're certainly looking at the northern border and whether that would escalate. Some interesting things that Yigal Carmon said about that. He said he doesn't really expect it to erupt quite yet, that Hezbollah has its own interests in staying alive right now. Let's hope they're right. But even Fatah in the West Bank, the main faction within the PLO, headed by Mahmoud Abbas, who is in Moscow, and Russia certainly has some fingerprints on this whole operation. Some of the weaponry and tactics probably came from either Russian forces, Russian government, or some of these mercenary forces like Wagner. We'll see how that gets exposed over time. But Yigal Carmon already exposing very, very important information for us, not only in trying to defend ourselves and deal with the problem, but also how to pray. We're going to end our webinar now because in 15 minutes we'll start our global prayer gathering. We've been holding a daily prayer gathering here at GPG every day since this war started in order to pray Israel through this crisis, through this war. We're going to keep going until Israel can declare victory. So join us on our global prayer gathering in just a little bit. If we can put up the address for where that is, it's let's see if I can find it. It should be on.icej.org /ICEJ global prayer. You got to capitalize ICEJ, capital G global, capital P prayer. So please join us then. Thank you, and God bless you from Jerusalem.
We want to come to you now giving you a bit of an explanation of the Christian Embassy's involvement in helping Israel overcome this really shocking and devastating war that's been thrust upon it by Hamas and other Iranian-backed terror militias. And Jürgen, this has shocked Israel. It's like the worst single day of casualties, that first day of this on Saturday. But for us, it's also surreal because we were just in this very area where ground zero for this whole invasion of over 1,000 Hamas terrorists happened just 2 days before.
Absolutely. You know, President Herzog came out and he said, since World War II, since the Holocaust, this was the highest number of Jews being murdered around the world in the history since World War II. And this came to us as a shock because right there, I think it's this yellow area, that's where the Be'eri forest is, the forest that we are adopting as ICJ. We took our delegates there 2 days before the crisis started, the war started, and they were driving those roads, they were visiting the community. Kibbutz Be'eri, we were passing by, Kibbutz Alumim, where there was very heavy fighting. We had lunch there. So we were 2 days before right at that location.
Yes, and one of the main breakthroughs was here at the Erez crossing, and they went around the north, around the corner to Sderot, and we were there, over 600 Christians from about 50 countries, at a solidarity rally with the mayor of this Sha'ar HaNegev region, Ofer Lipstein. And what makes it so shocking and surreal is that 2 days later, we find out he was one of the first people killed going as the mayor, the head of this regional council, going to defend a community he had heard was under attack. He gave his life. He gave us a promise there that I think is worth playing for our people, a promise that he had to keep at the cost of his own life.
First of all, welcome again to Sha'ar HaNegev. You've been here last year, and I hope to see you again next year. I promise to do everything to keep the land of Israel, to keep the land of this area, and build it stronger and stronger. And I'm so happy to see you all from all over the world that come to see this beautiful place. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and it's amazing to see, you know, that he really did what he said. He went out to defend his community, and you know, it's unbelievable. We were sitting beside him, we were talking to him. He was so happy that Christians were coming.
Singing songs with
us, inviting us back. And in a way, we are adopting the Be'eri forest, but I think as ICJ, we really feel we should not just adopt the trees and this forest there. We need to take care of that community that was so hard hit. Be'eri was completely wiped out. Kibbutz Alumim, where we had dinner, they had a very fierce battle. Interestingly enough, we had an amazing time with this kibbutz. The Fijian delegation sang worship songs. The rabbi had some blessings for us. And we really felt the blessing of the Lord there and the presence of the Lord. And at the same location where we were sitting and had dinner or had lunch with these people, they had an attack from terrorists and they shot 10 of the terrorists.
The Kibbutz Be'eri, which is right the entryway to get to our brand new Christian Embassy Nature Park, was devastated. They found over 100 bodies that they're bringing out and now have to bury, but some of these families are so traumatized. But we've provided bomb shelters for these areas, have long-standing relationships, help them fight the arson, the fire kites and balloons. But when we started planting here, we were just there 2 days before the fight. This was really one of the main break areas where the terrorists went and surrounded or invaded that music festival that had gone on all night. The music was still playing. It was easy to find it. Several thousand people there, totally vulnerable to this pogrom, this carnage. And we were right there. And it's really going to take a while to recover that. But you can see on this map, we're showing some of the 140, 150 bomb shelters that we placed in the Gaza envelope area over the past decade or so, but we're going to have to get in there, more bomb shelters. What else are we going to do?
Yeah, you know, this is the time really where the church needs to show their support with Israel. The time has come where it's not enough anymore to say, Israel, we love you, we stand with you. This is a time where real actions are needed. We call upon all churches around the world to dedicate this coming Sunday, whenever you might listen to that, the next Sunday, to dedicate it to Israel. Israel is fighting for its survivals. We continue to build bomb shelters. Right now, I think we have 20 bomb shelters on the line that are being built there. We are helping the refugees. This whole area is going to be evacuated in these coming days. Right now, as we are talking, we are setting up a temporary refugee center outside of Jerusalem to welcome some of those refugees. Also, the reservists, I think Israel had some 300,000 reservists, called them. Many of them, they just need warm clothes. They need help with daily nourishment. One unit, we heard, they are short of bulletproof vests to protect them, and we are there to help them.
Yeah, some of them don't even have water to drink. They were called up and had to go down there so quickly. But we, the Christian Embassy, is on the front lines of this battle that Israel engaged in. For your sake, you can do what you can to help Israel recover and arise out of this disaster.